Good evening, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are on Mother Earth. Today, I am starting afresh. I am starting the Redemption Broadcast Network, and this time it's with a different stance. The purpose of this new beginning is to concentrate and concern myself with the issues that over time and experience I've come to realize are the very problems that we have in Africa. Of course, the program is going to be basically concerned with the West African sub-region, the Mano River Union, and especially Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea. However, the problems on the continent of Africa have a lot of similarities. And through research, through observation, and through other medium, it is clear that our problem is not political. As a matter of fact, the problems of Africa we see as political are the results of the problem themselves. Our problem is a deep-seated social and psychological issue which needs to be addressed, and to be addressed very fast, because at this material moment, Africa has the youngest demographics on Earth, and we have over 45% of the resources that the Earth needs. We have a nice climate, but yet still, since independence in the late 1950s and early 60s, much progress has not been made. The continent is largely still one of dependence. Yes, we will go and give all the excuses. It's because of European dominance, it's because of Western economic and political tactics, etc., etc. The question is, what have we done to change the dynamics as there? If we go to Asia, if we look at India, we look at Malaysia, we look at Singapore and all these other countries in Asia, they were also colonized. They were part of the problem we have. But today, we see a different dynamic taking place in those parts of the world. Why have we not followed suit? What are the reasons? What are the deep-seated reasons? These are the issues that I'll be dwelling on. These are the issues the institution will be dwelling on, because What I have is an institution. I may be the face of the institution today, but there are other people involved, and there are other people that will come on board as we gradually grow. This show that I'm starting today, I have chosen to call the Kabu Mansaba Show. If I can take a minute or two to explain why the Kabu Mansaba, it is out of a realization of my descendancy. I was born and bred in Sierra Leone. I carry a surname that is traced to Guinea in the Dalaba province of Guinea. But the truth is, myself and most of my ancestors had their origins from the Senegambia. We came from part of the Mali Empire that later morphed into what was called the Cabo Empire, just immediately after the collapse of the Mali Empire. And that part encompassed Senegal, part of Mauritania, and part of Guinea-Bissau. There were Fulani, Wolof, Bambara, Baga, and other ethnic or linguistic groups who were all part of that political arrangement. These people moved south at some point between the 16th, 15th, and 16th century, and their influence spread as far south as very close to what we have today as La Côte d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast. Along the coast, especially from Guinea-Conakry down to Cape Mount County in Liberia, these people intermingled with the Bolom and the subset of the original people of the Futa Jalong, the Jalonkas, who came to settle in the coast, who evolved by linguistic and other processes into what today we call the Susu. And in Sierra Leone, the evolution of the Baga and the other people from the Senegambia resulted in what today we call the Temne people or the Timni people. That's why both groups are like different dialects to each other. The Bagas in Guinea-Conakry and Guinea-Bissau, when they greet, it's the same as the Timni of Sierra Leone. Ndire, Mpiari, etc., etc. The Soso, as the Timni and the Baga, they have a lot in common. When they want to express that I've got myself into some trouble, the Soso say, Nambara Soto. The Timni say, Ipo Soto Nambara. The Baga say, Nambara Sotoi. Why am I going into all of this? It is because the scope and the vision of whatever I'm going to do on these platforms will be to enlighten and sensitize, especially people in Sierra Leone who have become so polarized by what they call politics, which is not politics. Let us begin to look at the issues. Let us begin to look at what needs to be looked at. Let us see what is more common amongst us, not what we think makes us different. Let us see how we can use that commonality to build a nation, not to divide a nation. Let us understand, let us begin for once to understand that development are a set of processes guided by commonality, cooperation, and trust. Development can never take place where there are bullies. Development can never take place where some people think they have the right to say and others should listen. Development can never take place where one set of people think they are better than the other. Development can never take place where people think they know and others know nothing. Every human being has a level of knowledge, irrespective of what level of exposure that person has. Within his local or her local environment, because every human being is Homo sapien, we learn. And learning does not have to take place in a formal situation. Before conception, unto the time of death, and maybe even after death, we learn. Learning is a continuous process because it is part of what we call life. It is what the biologists call evolution. You learn and adopt, you grow. Then you meet new challenges, you learn and adopt and grow. If we think that because I have a BSc or a PhD, or I have gone to this school or that school, I am better than those who did not, we are nothing but idiots. Because that other person you are looking low on may have some knowledge that is useful to you, irrespective of whether the person went to an Ivy institution or a mud brick institution. Every human being is Homo sapien. We think, we learn, and we adapt. This is part of our natural makeup. And this is what we have failed to comprehend in Africa. This is what we have failed to comprehend in the homeland I came from, Sierra Leone. It is why 60 and more years after independence, we are still stuck in the mud. Because a few set of people think they have a right, they know it all, they have some connection with some power that gives them the mandate. That whatever power you think exists, I don't care what you call him, God or Satan or devil or spirit, those powers will only exist because we think they exist. We are as we think. We become as we think. We institute and become as we think. If we are to make progress, we have to look back at everything we do, our perceptions, our beliefs, our attitudes, even to what we call our culture. It's not wrong to have a culture, it's right. But if something is not working in the culture, maybe because at some point in the past it was correct, but now it is not, let us find a way to amend it. Your culture is like your constitution. A constitution is a set of rules. In every human situation, in every social situation, there are always rules to follow. Religion gave us rules. They call it the Ten Commandments. Ethics has its rules. They don't call it the Ten Commandments, but if you study the ethical rules and the religious rules, you see a lot of similarities. As a matter of fact, all of these meet at one point. What you call Ten Commandments is just a single statement. Do to others what you expect and want them to do to you. It's the golden rule. And if that rule obtains in any society, if that rule obtains in any social setting, equality, respect for law and order, human rights, you name it, all of this will exist. If that rule obtains in any society, issues like rape, selling young girls into sex slavery and things like that will cease. But when we think that a particular set have the mandate to decide what obtains, and they don't care about what happens to the others, then the golden rule of doing to others what you expect them to do unto you ceases to exist. When that happens, what is the product? Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone did not happen by accident. Sierra Leone was not created by one person. Sierra Leone is the continuous creation of our greed, our ego, and our inability to be honest about what we are and who we are. So if we are to solve the problem, if we are to mitigate the challenges which has led us to this brink, let us put aside politics. That does not mean we are going to accommodate what was wrong or what has been done wrong. But let us put aside politics for a moment and ask those questions. How did we get here? Who created it? The propagandists will call you, will give you names. They will call names. Chaka Stephen destroyed Sierra Leone. APC destroyed Sierra Leone. Yes, maybe the destruction process happened at the time when those people were in control. But was it done by them alone? If we are to be honest, was it done by them alone? Those of us who are the good guys, what did we do to stop that from happening? Why didn't we stand up and stop it? Edmund Brooke, an Irish philosopher, said, evil only prevails when good guys do nothing. Yeah, today some people are pretending to be good guys. So what did they do at that time to stop the evil that brought us to this level? In Africa, what have we all done to stop the stagnation? If we want to point things at others, let us always remember that when you point a finger, 3 points back at you. So if we are to solve the problems, if we are to mitigate the challenges, if we are to make headway, especially so at a time like this when we have the youngest population you can find on earth, let us begin to think out of the box. And thinking out of the box is not the only thing we have to do. Let us begin to examine, research, and practice, not by force, but by consensus, by an agreement that I am going to, irrespective of what the condition is, I am going to begin to practice. And what do we have to practice? Trust building, ethical standards, moral standards. We can make all the beautiful laws we want to make on today and tomorrow or whatever time. We can have all the laws passed in our parliaments. But if we don't have trust built in society, if we don't have ethical standards maintained in society, if we don't have moral standards maintained in society, the examples we set will become the rule. Because there is a saying that states, example is better than precept. The examples we set. And who are the people setting the examples? Those that have been reposed with the confidence and the legitimacy to be in control. If they set good examples, society will follow. If they set bad examples, the same will happen. If you are head of state, behave like a head of state. Don't go talking about things that are below the office that you occupy. Don't go instigating things that will cause crisis in the country that you are head of state of. Because you are not head of state of a specific group. You are head of state of a country. And that country is a multiplex of social groups, each having their interest and each seeking to secure that interest. No one group is better than the other. If you have your so-called peace and conflict institutions, have they ever sat down to look at the practical sociological issues that need to be addressed? Is peace and conflict only about politics? Don't we have issues at home with our wives and our children? Is that not part of peace and conflict? Don't we have issues in our community with our neighbors, our contemporaries, our friends? Is that not an issue of conflict? As a matter of fact, social theory is clear about the fact that because no two human beings are the same, there will always be an issue of grievance in the home, in the community, in the region, in the nation, in the continent, in the world. But we should always have certain measures, certain parameters, and certain factors that come into focus when we want to resolve some of these issues. You cannot resolve an issue by bullying others. You cannot resolve an issue by imposing on others. You cannot resolve an issue by insulting others. And you cannot resolve an issue by forcing others who are the disadvantaged to come and beg you. Life doesn't work that way. Never. Nowhere. We have to be honest about ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves. Because that's the only way we can build trust. For a home to function, there has to be trust. The children have to trust the parent. The wife has to trust the husband. The husband has to trust the wife. Otherwise, it will not. For a community to function, the same applies. The members have to trust each other. Otherwise, it will not work. Everything about the human interrelationships operates on trust. And what brings trust is the maintenance of ethical and moral standards. Ethical standards dictate that when you are with the people, always put ahead of you the issue of equality and justice. Equality does not make all of us have the same amount of money in the bank. Equality does not make all of us have the same house to sleep in or the same car to ride in. It only makes us respect each other's right to be, and to enjoy whatever there is for everybody to enjoy. Being rich and poor is not equality or inequality. This is what we get wrong because we have been so blinded by our material condition that most of us, when we talk about equality, the disadvantaged poor. Who told you they are disadvantaged poor? Poverty is created by us. When we institute inequality, unfair play in societies, then we create poverty. And when we create poverty, we create crime. When we create crime, we create danger, war, conflicts. Every man can be as rich as they want, depending on two things: their effort and their network, their connection. Being rich does not make you more intelligent. It's an issue of effort and connection. Poverty does not make the poor man stupid. It's an issue of connection and, in some cases, effort. Equality has to do with how we apply the golden rule. Do unto others as you want done unto you. That's what is called social justice. Do unto others as you want done unto you. Even to your child. If you don't want to be insulted, don't insult your child. If you don't want to be whipped, don't whip your child. If you don't want to go hungry, don't keep your child in hunger. These are the issues me and the group will be concentrating on, and we will build it up into something that will, twice a week for now, be coming up to examine critical issues affecting not only Sierra Leone, but maybe the sub-region of West Africa, the continent of Africa, because there are a lot of similarities, as I've said before. The root origin of the problems of Africa are very much the same. The inability to institute and maintain equality. We complain all the time about foreigners doing this, foreigners doing that, because we're only concerned about the material. For us, development is a material concept. And that is why we build all the beautiful roads, all the beautiful bridges, all the beautiful houses, 10, 20 years down the line, they have gone out of order. We have to think of where to get money to build them again. We are limited in our thinking. That's the first thing we have to begin to accept. Development is not a physical thing. It's an intellectual process. It's a process that institutes order, equality, and ethics such that when a road is built, they say, okay, let us pay toll for this road to be maintained. Whoever is collecting that toll money does not take it to go and build houses and have 10 concubines. That money is put for the maintenance and sustenance of the roads. If we say, let us put money into education so that we can build our human resource and make it productive, not consumptive, because what we have is consuming human resource. PhD, they cannot turn a spanner. We have to look at how to fund it. What do we do? How do we do it to get the money to equip the schools, to ensure we train the teachers properly, to ensure we provide teaching materials? And when that money is given, how do we ensure it is not misappropriated, it's not misused by a few? It is put into what it is meant for, and therefore there is sustenance. How? These are the issues that have led us to this crisis. The mentality of now we turn for it. Eat what? Eat what you don't have. Fighting and killing each other only to get there and become beggars. If we have had ethical standards, if we had had trust, we would have built wealth. Wealth is different from affluence. Let us stop making that mistake. Building 10 houses, 60 houses is affluence. Wealth is sustainable growth of economic power. And when there is that economic power, you have the ability to provide whatever you want when you want it. There are people with 50 houses, they cannot provide everything they want. Yeah, it's a fact. The growth and development of the wealth of any nation is a complex of social interactions and ethical standards that allow everybody to work and sustain what has been built so that everybody continues to benefit from what has been built. If we cannot do that, and if a few people can build houses, buy as many cars as they want, and we call them wealthy, then we're being idiotic. They are not wealthy, they're affluent. They may have plenty money in the bank, but they're affluent. Wealth is not by the money you have in the bank. It's by the level of trust that is maintained in society. Because trust is the only currency on earth. And trust suffers two ways. You either have it or you don't have it. When you have it, you have access to everything. When you don't have it, everything is blocked. The richest people on earth, if you ask them how much they have in their bank accounts, they will tell you, I have 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. Then you wonder, why are they called the richest? Because they have built everything they have on trust. They will tell you, I have that factory, I have that institution, have that business. But it's not his personal money. It's something there that is assessed as his. And when they value it, that's against what they say, this man is a billionaire, this is a millionaire. It's not that they have those monies in the bank. As a matter of fact, there are no banks on earth that have all those monies we hear of. These monies are trusts, built on trust. I want to do a project. The bank say, okay, we trust you. We know you can repay. Would I make you have access to use this amount of money for it to be put into the project? And that money, as a matter of fact, does not exist in the bank vault. They only give me access to create the money and use it. And after I've used it, I have to pay back, maybe with some interest. What does that? Is trust. If I pay back, I maintain the trust. If I don't pay back, I destroy the trust. And from that point henceforth, nobody will give me a loan. In Sierra Leone, if you send money to people to do something, they misuse it. Why? Because those of us who should be telling the people what to do, how to do it, we are the ones setting the bad examples. That man in the village, if he sees Tom, who yesterday had a smelly canvas shoe, riding an SUV after 6 months in politics, and he sees that same person building houses, he will investigate quietly and say, oh, this man got this money by crooked means. So that man becomes a crook also. That's the society we have created. And it's not only in Sierra Leone. Look across Africa. That's the modus operandi. Look across Africa. A few people have it all. The majority don't have it. They become commonplace criminals. And these are the people you see being put in prisons. The real criminals up there who are causing the problem go scot-free and enjoy everything. And some of them have the audacity to say they are blessed. Blessed by whom? Some God that never exists. You see them every Sunday or whatever, go to these so-called places of worship. God has blessed me. Which God blesses you to destroy yourself? You have all the money, but you live in a self-made prison. You build a house with a high fence, metal here, metal there, this here, that there. Is that a blessing? When you walk in the street, you have to be looking left and right, or maybe you have to have bodyguards with you. Is that a blessing? Were we made to be isolated? Let us imagine that you are alone on this earth. You have everything with you. How useful is that wealth? It's time we begin to think. It's time we begin to ask the pertinent questions. It's time we begin to examine what needs to be examined. And this is exactly what this talk show will be setting on. Of course, today I'll do a lot of talking because it's an introduction. I have decided to give maybe a 45 minutes or something talk. I don't have breaks in between because I want the flow to be continuous and I want us to have a clear picture of what is coming. This platform will not be talking events and people. We'll talk events, yeah, if they are necessary to be used to make clear what we want to deal with. We'll talk about people without calling names or whatever, if we want to make clear what needs to be made clear. But what we are concerned with is that we should get our people to begin to understand what needs to be understood, so that they will begin to use the power of God in them. Your ability to think is the power of God in you. It's the life in you. It's what makes you who you are. If you cannot use it, then be ready for the worst in life. If you can use it, that does not guarantee you to be wealthy, but it guarantees you a safe life free of lack. You don't have to be a millionaire to live a safe life. Where I live, this country that I live in, they have created a society where trust and ethic comes paramount, such that the least paid person in this country earns $2,500 per month as take home after tax. The least paid, a cleaner or something. They are not rich. I am not rich. I belong to the middle class. But I think I am safe. I am safe. I sleep at night. I can even forget to lock my door. Nobody comes haunting me to steal or kill. I can walk at night with or without lights on the road, without having to be afraid of being attacked. And the funny thing is, this country has almost the same population as Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone has more resources than this country. Why are we suffering down there? And why is it better off here? Is God unfair? No. It's us, the way we think. It's in our heads. There was a British man who lived around up to 1950s. He has a lot of materials that were published. Most of it had been made into audiobooks, etc., etc. He has a very famous book, and it's on YouTube. You can go and find it and listen to it. It's titled, As a Man Thinketh. As a man thinketh, so he becomes. Man is mind. We are what we read in religion. The Bible, they tell you, say, God said, let there be. Because God lives with mind. God is mind. It's the mastermind. And we are made after that. That's what we are told, the image and likeness. The Holy Quran does not say it as it is said in the Bible, but figuratively, it's the same meaning you get from the Holy Quran, that God made man from clay and put part of his breath into him and said to the angels, this is part of me, let him be worshipped. And Satan said, no, I'm not going to worship this thing you've created. Man is mind. God is in us, and it's for us to use. But if we sit and wait for a few idiots to take decisions for us, then that's what we have in Sierra Leone. We always go around shouting, we have a leadership. We don't have a leadership problem. There's never been a leadership problem anywhere on earth. There has been the inability of people to think and become leaders. Every human being is a leader in their own way. If you are not leader of your home, You are a leader of your community, or you are a leader of yourself. If you lead yourself properly, you get what you want out of life. If you don't lead yourself properly, then be ready for the worst. So let's stop talking about leadership. It's not leadership. It's the way we think that is our problem. When we change that, then everything will change. When we change that, then we would have somebody at State House who will think that, oh, the other people matter. So I have to be careful what I do. I have to be careful what I say. We don't have a leadership problem. We have a sociological problem. And that problem comes from our beliefs, our perceptions, and our attitudes. I've been saying this since Jesus was a boy, but people think it's crap I'm talking. Keep thinking that way. The crap is coming to you. It's coming to you. It's time we begin to look at issues as they deserve to be examined. Let's put down this ego. Me. You are nothing without people. Imagine if you are Robinson Crusoe on an island and there is nobody with you. How would you be? Would you have all those things to make all the noise about? Let's put a check on ourselves. Let's do introspective thinking. Let's examine ourselves. Let us work to be better people. Better in the sense that we change our perceptions about us in relation to others. We change our attitudes towards others and ourselves. And then we change those beliefs of superiority and inferiority. Let us work to build a collective that will stand the test of times. Without that, nothing can work. Nothing. If you want, you buy all the guns and weapons and walk around with them. Nothing can work. Your guns and weapons mean nothing. If you want, you buy all the private jets and fly as much as you can. Nothing can work because it means nothing. What works is the collectivity of humanity. We have to be together. We have to respect each other. We have to understand each other. We have to tolerate each other's ineptitudes. Those beliefs of class, we need to examine and change them. They are wrong. In Norway, 95% of the schools are public schools, but they are well equipped. Every child goes to a public school in this country. Few go to private schools, very few. And even those who go to private schools, the standards are the same as the public schools because the government does not allow a class differentiation. The money man picking in a private school. No. As a matter of fact, in every school in this country, there are controls such that no child will overuse his parents' status, or no child will feel abused because of their parents' status. The same applies with gender issues. In every institution in this country, no woman should suffer any form of psychological lack. No woman should be made to look lower. This is what trust, justice, and equality does. But when we have a society where people think they have some power that gives them a special right to bully others and impose on others, when we have a country where every teacher teaching in that country is trained by the same teacher training college, and yet we have schools that are good schools and bad schools, that mentality are some of the things holding us back. I get blessing, I'm blessed. Who told you get blessing? No work. Not think. You go choose high blessing who can make you. We have a lot in this to look at and change. And above all, we have to put down the ego. If we are wrong, let us accept that we are wrong. If you have to come publicly and say, I'm sorry, do so. That does not make you a lesser person. Do so. It makes you human. If God was not accepting what was wrong, none of us would exist. God accepts. God is a democrat. That's why he does not interfere in the activities and processes we take. He would sit back and say, okay, let them learn from their mistakes. Let them make the mistakes. That make them better people, they learn. But with us, we want to impose. We even have the audacity of going to say you have to belong to a particular social group for you to be considered a citizen or whatever. Where did that come from? I came to this country in 2003. By 2011, they made me citizen. That same year, I was elected into the municipal council of my municipality. I served 2 terms up to 2018. If these people were thinking that way, that was, if you are not a member of this political party, you are not a citizen, they would never have allowed me that. Where did that come from? What kind of mentality is that? If we want to see a better Sierra Leone, it's time we sit back and ask ourselves a lot of questions. Well, of course, you may wonder, why have I been speaking in my broken English? I did it on purpose because this medium will not only be discussing issues concerning and connected with Sierra Leone, it will also be looking at issues across the continent. As a matter of fact, we shall be using multiple languages as we progress. There will come a time when we would have programs in French. There will come a time when we would have programs in Creole, in Timini, in Mende, etc. I'll bring people on board for us to come and examine and research issues, things that will make us better people, not things that will divide us. And one thing I want to assure everybody, on this platform, on this media, we are not going to be economical with the truth. We say it as it is. We are not here to be diplomatic, to seek favor from anybody. I don't want favor from nobody. I am self-sufficient because I use this. I'm self-sufficient because I have the necessary connections that I need. As a matter of fact, if our country was stable, I would have gone down there with those connections and started using them for the benefit of other people. And that's why some of us keep talking. Because it doesn't make sense for us to be coming to beg in Europe when there are people in Europe who have the ability to mobilize what we are coming to beg for. And because we think they are the enemy, we cannot allow them to come. That's why I always say, we have idiots in politics, and I have no regrets about saying it. Honestly, I have lived in this country. This year is going to make me 20 years. I have seen the simplest form of politics where people from, they have about 15 political parties, people from different parties, they meet, they sit down, they drink coffee, they eat cake, they discuss national issues. Nobody quarrels with nobody. The prime minister, who is the head of state, will come into a supermarket and stand on line. Except they say, no, go forward. You are the boss, go. They stand on line. He doesn't go about with a siren and escort riders. He has one or two security in plain clothes. Yes, because of the office, they have to protect him. Because there are a lot of mad people out there. The last prime minister, during COVID, she had an issue wherein she was celebrating a birthday. She came with one person extra. And that person, as a matter of fact, was not on the list of invitees. It's only that the person is a relative and the person had been out of the country and came back that day. The person just went and crashed into the place. This came to the notice of the police. The police went there. They took note of everything. The next day, they filed a claim on her. She was fined $2,500. She paid. And then she came on the television to apologize to the people because she has broken the law. She apologized. There is a video on that on YouTube. Go and find out. Anna Sulberg, the last prime minister, she apologized. With us, whoever is at State House thinks he's the cousin of God. So whatever he does, good or bad, he should not apologize. Keep doing that. But the only thing you should know, there is always life after that public office. Maybe you want to die in that public office. That's why you are doing it. That's why you are doing whatever you can to keep staying there. But if you have any thought of living after that public office, I think it's time we begin to observe ethical standards, moral standards, and build trust. Let us build trust. Let us learn to trust each other. There is enough, more than enough in Sierra Leone for everybody. If we are ready to work together with the potentials of that country, it can become the richest country in Africa, if not the world, in the next 10 to 15 years. And that does not include mining minerals. We can close all those mines and still build Sierra Leone into an economic power. South Korea does not have minerals, but she's an economic power. Singapore does not have minerals, but she is an economic power. Cuba will soon go ahead of Sierra Leone. I want people to take note of that. Cuba and Caribbean will soon go ahead of Sierra Leone. Yes. Why? Because they have a united mentality and they work hard. We need to put more funds into building our human resource. Let us stop going about fooling ourselves. We are putting 25% of our national, but what 25% of zero is zero. Sierra Leone as it is, if we are to equip all schools, if we are to provide teaching materials, if we are to provide good quality training for teachers, to teach professional courses within the industrial and technical domain, we are needing more than $4 billion per annum. And what is the national budget? Somebody tell me. We are not looking at this. We are looking at where to find blame so that we continue to milk the little that there is. Ebo, don't try begin think. Don't try begin think. I go stop now today. I dey come back on Friday. And on Friday, I'll come with a specific topic because we'll get several areas we'll get for look at. We'll get for look at the history of Sierra Leone. Me not a historian, no, but I don't do a lot of research on we history. My actual profession is teaching. The subject to our major part na geography and environmental science. Then I did English and mathematics for some time. Okay? I have done a lot of research into our history over the last 5 years, and that has costed me a lot of money because the facts about who we are there. They are in closed archives that you have to pay for. I have took my time to do that research because originally I had this cause to ask, why is it that across Sierra Leone you have common surnames? Kamara, Koromasi, Sekonte, Terali, etc., speaking different languages. Why is it that across Sierra Leone every district has a place that is called Sumbuya? And other things that I question. I say, oh, there's something common about us that needs to be found out. And this is what those of us who consider ourselves educated don't do. After education, we want to sit in chairs like this, steal money, grow big pot bellies, and say, I mean, a big man. Big man, my foot. Big man is here. Here. We have to do more because Sierra Leone is bigger than all of us. We shall be coming with different issues on our history, our education, what kind of cultural issues we need to look at, why and how we can adopt some of them like the Ghanaians have done. The Ghanaians have made the kente. They still weave it with that traditional loom, but they have made it into an international commodity, for God's sake. How much people sabi make sukubla in a salon right now? These are the issues we shall be discussing. These are the questions we shall be asking. If we want to build factory in every district, these are the things we should be considering. How do we modernize our traditional industries and make them marketable internationally? In Norway, they come with bamboo chairs from Thailand and sell it $6,000. Look at Sierra Leone, very close to Norway. Can we make bamboo chairs now? If you ask me, I would say no. Can we make sukublai? Now that we are talking about plastic pollution, don't we think raffia bag can be a product that can be marketed internationally? Have we ever sat down to think of that? I'll tell you pan politics, man go get PhD pan aeronautics, he go turn minister of sport. Man get PhD pan biochemistry, he go be member of parliament. Okay, salon. Na try o. God na wicked power. Are we wicked power chef? The way they think. I go tap and then today, yeah? And I thank you for listening to the nonsense what they say. I they come back. And this time I'll be saying all the nonsense for you to begin to think sensibly. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice evening.